Let me see if there's any other bullshit that we can talk about in retail
And
worker
I already hit
conversions
record.
people are saying.
Oh well.
Okay.
I can fix it in post. Welcome back to the show. This episode's been filmed 3 weeks ahead of time. Just letting you guys
Hi.
know. And today we're talking apparently specifically about
Different
Florida.
things that I have brought to the attention of my co-host, who does not keep up with media whatsoever most of the time.
The main host of this show lives under a rock, my friends.
Yes. So the first story that we are going to go over is a couple weeks ago, but this is obviously still going to be an issue in the future because, you know, when it comes to cancel culture, people can't really live things down for a short amount of time. Like, yeah, you can get forgiven, but if you messed up, certain offended people will let you know that for as long as they feel fit. Well, one of the problems that happened was there was this TikToker named Nessa, and she ended up making a dancing video throwing it back. If you guys don't know what throwing it back is, like, basically, you know, you're twisting your body in such a way where you show your butt, but like from a side view to the Quran. Now, she claims that she doesn't know that, you know, this audio of this old man saying words and singing was the Quran, but yet she would make things like, well, my mom's Muslim, or I have family from Egypt, or shit like that, which, like, rubbed me the wrong way because, like, I'm totally okay with people being ignorant and saying, yo, I didn't know that this audio was this audio. Had I known from the start, I would have totally not done that, because obviously it is very disrespectful to just randomly be doing shit like that to a religion. But you can't be saying, oh, well, it's okay because I know this person who happens to be affiliated with a religion. Don't do that shit. Like, if you're going
Okay,
to be,
so they
you
were
know,
showing they were doing this thing and showing the butt to an audio of the Quran.
well, TikTok, like, you know, a lot of the times people, like, dance to audio.
Mm.
Well, think of it like she was twerking, but it's like kind of the, you know, newer age thing, which is called throwing it back. She was dancing to an audio of someone saying words of the Quran, and she didn't know that.
You see, me, I'm a horrible person, so I actually find that entertaining.
Oh my god, you would. But basically, after that event happened, she was under fire. People were saying, you're a fucking racist. Like, I can't believe you would disrespect someone's religion like that. I can't believe you'd say that your relatives are Muslim, but yet you felt it was okay to do that, blah, 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 blah. And like I said, this happened a couple weeks ago, and she still hears about it nonstop. Um, Another thing that I've noticed about cancel culture is, and I'm going to say, like I said, we talk about very controversial things on this podcast.
Thankfully, we're not that big, or we might get canceled.
Yeah. Well, I see so many media stars get canceled over, like, old Twitter tweets, which, by the way, like, yes, I don't condone that, but they weren't really saying it, like, in the hopes that thousands of people are going to be digging it up in the future. They probably were being stupid in high school when they had, like, 100 followers, and they thought at the time only their friends were going to see it. They probably didn't think later on in the future people were going to find these old tweets.
Well,
And
here's the thing in cancel culture. You can apologize all you want, but you'll never be forgiven.
I think you can be forgiven, but it's not forgotten, is what it is.
No, you never get anything back. They all say, anytime you do one thing, they'll say this or that because you did that thing, and they'll never let you forget that you did that.
I think some people are forgiving to it.
Some people, but not the mainstream.
Well, it depends on what the issue was. Like, I find like one of the weird jokes that people were making towards these TikTokers who were caught years ago saying like the N word is they would like call them wow, you're like the African king, or wow, you're the black queen, or African queen. And I'm like, why the fuck are you guys saying that shit? Like, yes, I understand that they said that word, and yes, I understand that whether or not their apology was half-assed, they did still apologize for saying that word, and yes, that word to a lot of people has a lot of meaning to it. But why are you clowning these people and calling them and joking about a race that they aren't? Like, what is the point in that?
Uh, I don't get it either.
Like, that's not something I would call someone.
Well, you notice that a lot of people, they. You're talking about people calling people a race that they aren't and stuff?
So this Caucasian male, a couple years ago, he got punched in the eye, and he on video, people dug up some old footage of him saying the N-word. Well, because that video got dug up and he just now happens to be popping on TikTok and all that other shit, people call him the Black King or Wakanda King or shit like that, basically.
Well, that's stupid.
And then basically every other person who's not black that is caught saying the N-word is basically called the same thing.
Well, here's the other thing, too, though, on this one. There are now legitimate stories, you don't hear them a lot in the news, but they are legitimate, of black people shooting white people because they are white. Now, not saying all. I have several friends at work who are black, and many of them agree with me on this point, that you should never allow race to excuse bad behavior or to justify bad behavior.
Right.
Like a black man in the poor community who robs a bank and whatnot, or keeps doing graffiti and gang banging, which does keep his, his part of town kind of shitty. Not just because there's no money there, but also because crime is so high that it makes it hard for people to make money. So, essentially, am I on speaker? I hear something in the background on you.
No.
Oh, there was something in the background. Anyways, so while it's not people's fault where they live and where they, what they were born into. You have to take responsibility to how you deal with that situation.
Right.
So, with that being said, it is not okay to hate someone because of their skin color. Whether you're a black person hating a white person hating a black, Latino, Asian, whatever. Racism is not okay, and it goes all ways.
Yeah. And I agree that people shouldn't be saying that word, but I also think that people should really not be dragging out shit for months and months and months and clowning this person. Like, he is constantly mentioned in videos. So, like, say there's a TikTok of an African-American dude, like, talking to this girl or whatever, and the dude's African-American. People will comment, oh, hey, look, that's the Wakanda King's brother. And I'm like, y'all are being stupid. Like, why aren't you over this crap yet?
Oh, that would be because they can't get over this crap.
Like, it's not justified, but you don't need to be dragging this on. Like, it's just very unnecessary.
Oh, yeah, it is. And here's the thing. People need to understand. You can't... What's with that heavy breathing?
Huh?
I hear heavy breathing.
Yeah.
Okay, that's better. Anyways,
Okay.
one of the things people need to understand is that um shit, lost my train of thought.
About the idea or just people being racist in general?
People need to stop being racist in general. Because here's the thing. I know I've got a guy at work. He has a kid, and it's just him and his kid, and he's an African American man. His big brothers thinks he's all sorts of cool because his big brother thinks that he's all this because his big brother's. And again, I'm saying his big brother thinks his big brother is cool. You know, not that he thinks my friend is cool. My friend
Okay.
thinks his big brother's an idiot. And my
Okay.
friend has been talked down to because he went off, became a member of society, a functioning member of society, and is a law-abiding citizen who works hard at his job to provide for himself and his family.
Huh. What's the issue?
Huh?
I don't understand what the issue is.
It sounds like you're breathing into the mic.
I'm not near the mic.
I wish I knew what the hell that sound was.
I'm typing, huh?
Hmm. But, the issue is this. He was pretty much told that he should be gangbanging with his brother.
Yeah.
And I've met other people who are told that they act because they aren't gangbanging and all that shit, they're acting too white.
Too white? Are you serious?
Yes, I am.
That's. I thought that was illegal. Like,
Huh?
I thought gangbanging was illegal.
Was it what?
Is it not illegal?
Illegal?
To gang bang, yes.
Yes, that is illegal.
Shut up, Nick.
Oh, no, the other gangbang perfectly legal, but that's between consenting adults.
So, what, does he just imagine that he's like Steve Urkel at this point?
Well, no, the guy has tattoos and stuff, but he got his life together. But here's the thing. His big brother has been shot and gone to prison multiple times and still can't keep his act together. Like, he's thought about helping his brother get a job at my work or at his girlfriend's work or whatnot. Except his brother's a lazy dumbass who thinks everyone should just give them everything they want. Have you ever played Grand Theft Auto?
Do I look like I play that kind of game?
Not really, but you never know.
No, I haven't.
Well, to those of you out there that have played Grand Theft Auto, the people that I know from the ghetto type spot that are honest, the whole thing where there's a character Lamar and the other character is trying to act, essentially still criminal, but he's trying not to go around and do the stupid gangbang and get yourself shot and all this other crap. Getting told that it's part of your culture, you should be going out doing that, is a real thing. It's not as much of a parody as Rockstar plays it off to be in the video games. And it's a sad thing. But now I must stress to you this. Not all African Americans, not all people in that area do that. But remember, this isn't just African Americans. It's white, Latino, Asians, African Americans. Pretty much anyone in that part of the town is told that they should be going off doing that. go gang banging, selling drugs, that sort of thing.
Right.
It's not about race. It's about economic position and what's called crab bucket syndrome. Because as long as they keep that going, they keep getting their Section 8 welfare checks, the gangs keep going. The gangs want it to stay crappy so they can keep operating. And then they use race and racism as both an excuse and a reason for it, instead of looking at the real thing of, hey, maybe our neighborhood will get better if we stop shooting each other over whose block we're on over some drugs and everyone wasn't robbing the liquor store every Saturday.
Right.
I'm not saying that some racism in the past didn't help cause this. I'm not saying racism is gone. Racism will never be gone. It comes out of tribalism.
And I agree with that.
But what some people call racist now isn't actually what racism is. And it's
I
been
think
used by.
people have become so sensitive that we're canceling people over an issue that happened years ago when they said a word that they shouldn't have in a context that they shouldn't have. They didn't know at the time that they were going to blow up. No one's going to know that shit.
And here's the other thing. If they did say the N-word is a portmanteau or a slang version of the word Negro. And Negro means black in Spanish. So all they did was created a slang word off of a word from another language. Like the word fuck. It comes from the German Frackensee, which means to strike.
You really are a human encyclopedia.
Yes, I am. And I still think it's funny that the German word for fat is dick. But that's just me.
Donkey and ass is kind of funny, too.
Yeah. The thing is, words only have the power you give to them.
And unfortunately, that word and a couple other words are seen as, oh, you said that word? Good luck being able to have any fans again.
But it is quite hypocritical because an African American person can use the N word.
Oh, they do in music videos all the time, and everyone's like, "Oh yeah, that's my shit."
And they can use the word cracker. White men can use the word cracker. But here's the thing.
I haven't really seen them use that word.
No, but they can, and so can white guys. But here's the thing. Why is it that white people, I understand white people use the racist term for white people, and I understand black people being able to use a racist term for black people. Why can black people use the racist terms for black people and white people without any repercussions, but white people can only use the kind of racist term for themselves?
I don't know. I think it goes along that whole, and I really hate to be that person to say it, but I think that some groups of people have pride in which they think that their race is above them or that they don't get enough recognition. Like, I have a friend who has a lot of black pride to the point where she's saying, oh, I can't believe these girls who discovered this thing, it's because they are black that they didn't get discovered earlier. Or everyone doesn't want to see a black girl succeed. And I'm like, race is not the reason why they didn't get successful.
No, it can't be, because guess what? These days we have this thing called affirmative action, where they actually first look for women, and especially women of color, and then after that, men of color, and then after that, when they're scraping the bottom of the barrel, they might find a white dude.
Right.
So, no, affirmative action actually puts these minority groups at the top of the ladder for being discovered and for success in these industries, because the industry wants to look good politically.
They want to have diversity, but everyone turns it into a race issue when it's a black woman not getting credit or what have you. Or everyone's like, oh, well, so on TikTok, a lot of people have been making content houses, and that includes, people that are friends and happen to be in the same industry and want to make content together. Which, by the
Mm-hmm.
way, social distancing wise, I don't think is that great of an idea, but you do you. Anyways, so these houses are people who know each other for the most part, but everyone in the comments is like, oh, well, that house don't have any flavor. Oh, that house don't have any diversity. Since when is a house with, like, people that you gotta live with, what, we gotta choose, like, people specifically black, specifically Latino to make diversity for the group? You're stuck living with these people.
Here's the thing. Look at our group of friends. Okay?
Yeah.
We have a pretty diverse cast of group of friends. But you look at us
That's
in a
not true. Most of you guys are white.
You didn't let me finish.
Okay.
We are a diverse group of friends. We got friends of all sorts of dispositions, political beliefs, personalities and whatnot. Pretty diverse group. But because
Yeah.
it's not raciously or maybe genderly diverse, although it is kind of genderly diverse because they're all, I think the women in our group outnumber the men actually. Uh, we're apparently not diverse enough. Saying that essentially to me says every white guy must be the same.
Yeah, or like people think, oh wow, that house is filled with girls who have blonde hair and blue eyes. Why should that matter if it is a house full of those people?
Tell you what, they might all have blind eye and blue eyes, but if one's a doctor, one's a psychiatrist, one works on welding metal, and another one programs video games, it's a pretty diverse group of people based on
Yeah,
skills and interests. Diversity goes beyond gender and skin color.
right. And like, I just don't really understand, like, out of all things that people are pressed about, it seems like only recently is race like the number one thing. Like, people are like, oh, well, in movies, like, how come there ain't an Asian person in that movie? Or,
Because it wasn't written for an Asian person?
oh, well, this is a racist movie because it's only Asian people that were scripted in it. Like, why isn't there any black people?
Well, because it was
I'm just
written in
so sick of,
Japan.
like, race being, like, the main thing that people gotta complain about.
Why can't you just have a nice movie? Like, they talked about whitewashing in that movie Alita Battle Angel a few years ago. Here's the thing. In the actual original part, it took place in America. Even though it's a
Like, in the
Japanese story,
actual
it
anime,
took the anime manga. It's a Japanese anime manga. It took place in America. So, but they got mad about the whitewashing. It's like, did you read the story? I mean, everyone seems to think anime adaptations need to be all Asian actors, but here's the thing: they're looking at making a live action of the original Gundam anime, which was the one with the big robot with the V fin. Thing is,
yeah.
Amuro Ray, the main character, is from South America.
Hmm.
So it's like, why are we talking about this? Just because a story's from another culture doesn't mean everybody in it needs to be this, so it's been whitewashed.
That's what they said about Death Note, but honestly, that kind of
Death Note was just shitty to be shitty because they shit all over the entire story.
Yeah, I mean, like, if they would have been closer with the material, honestly, the actors I don't think were that bad.
Look, the material is dark and all this stuff, but they completely trash the stuff, and they completely missed the boat because they used the guy that played Green Goblin in the original Spider-Man movie, playing Ryuk, the Japanese death god, the Shinigami, but you never saw the Shinigami's face, and he wasn't really in it that much, to be honest. And they completely missed the opportunity. They misrepresented L and all this stuff. It's like, what the hell? They completely trashed it. I mean, there was plenty of ways to do it. You could have made it a sequel to the anime. You could have made it some sort of other thing, a spin-off. shoot, instead of a Death Note being on in a book, the Death Note could have been a cell phone. Because of technology. So there are so many different ways they could have done this to make it interesting, but instead they try to make it almost a rom-com with a
I
detective
feel
story.
like it was dark to an extent, but there was just so much left out.
There was so much left out. The relationships were unbelievable. It's like
There was the last scene, or not the last scene, but like the scene of the dude, the main guy who was in the hospital and shit. I
yeah.
kind of liked that scene. I don't remember why I liked
Well,
it.
in the original, Light's father never finds out he's Kira, and Light's father actually dies.
Hmm.
But here's the thing. I have not seen a single good anime adaptation except for Alita Battle Angel and the old Speed Racer movie. And the reason the Speed Racer movie was good was it did exactly what the anime did. And everyone got mad at them for it and called it a shitty movie. It's like, no, this is how the show actually was.
Yeah.
Anytime they try to quote unquote improve it, they end up making it shit. But if they're actually consistent with the material, everyone hates it because, hate to tell people, anime is rather controversial a lot of the time, especially the good ones that get movie
People still
adaptations.
complain about anime even when it's made into a movie. Like, one of the best anime movies I've ever watched was Naruto Land of Snow, and people were still shitting on that for some reason.
Or you look at. Do you remember the issue with the anime Rising of the Shield Hero?
The what?
Where everyone was hating on Rising of the Shield Hero? I know you don't really pay
No.
attention. Well, anyways, now in the anime, in the books, and I actually bought up to book 6, and I'm kind of reading them a little bit because little do most people know, anime is a marketing tool to sell light novel books. That's why they end like they do a lot of the time, because it's there for you to buy the book to keep reading the story. But in the anime, like in the book, the main character is transported to another world. Well, due to political stuff here and there, the princess frames him for sexually assaulting her, and then they got mad at that portion of the story because they're like, hey, that says false rape is a thing, and it's not a thing, even though it is actually a thing. But the writer didn't put it in there for that reason. He was just trying to make the main character's life completely shitty as part of his story. It had no political moving behind it or sexist or whatever, but everyone bashed the show saying it's sexist, it's political. It's like, not at all. And the writer doesn't give a shit what we think about it in the West. He's writing his story, and that's how people need to be. If more writers quit trying to pander to these people, they would go away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, and the show is actually really good. It goes on to the guy, he goes into depression, he gets depressed, he gets so depressed the fact that he can't taste food anymore. But then he meets friends who lift him up, and he becomes the hero that the world needs him to be, while the other 3 of the 4 heroes in the show are completely useless.
I think it's actually interesting how, like, you say that there's, like, anime and manga that, like, when it's, like, brought to life on the big screen, that most of the time it's been worse. But there's actually been one example that I can think of fairly well. It's on Netflix, and it's called The End of the Fucking World, and it's a really good series. Strange but good, and it's based on a comic book slash anime that one dude made. Well,
It's based
if
on
you
a
see
comic
on the
book.
reviews on Amazon all of the reviews are saying, "Oh yeah, I was like so excited to read this because I got watching the Netflix series." Well, they all bashed this dude, saying it was a load of horse shit because the show actually ended up adding a lot of its own stuff to give it more depth and livelihood. The material itself is very basic and actually almost gory to
Well,
the
that you
sense
see,
of,
that's a
you know,
difference. Is this thing is actually a comic book adaptation? Where anime, it's not always a manga adaptation. Actually, a lot of the time, what happens is there's what's called a light novel or young adult novel, is what we would call them here. A lot of them, it takes about 4 hours to read them. Or just a second here, if I
what
can.
was that one movie that was also good? Scott Pilgrim? That was pretty good.
That was actually a that one. A lot of it was actually pretty much a one-to-one recreation of the comic book.
Wait, like, that was accurate shit then?
They filmed the movie at the same time they were writing the comic. The same guy wrote the script for the movie and for the comic book.
Oh, damn. Because I was going to say, I liked that movie.
I
Um,
did too.
uh,
It's an excellent movie. Okay, so there's a light novel that I've been reading on and off, and I really need to finish reading it because they come in volumes. Okay, and sometimes the volumes have different chapters. Sometimes the chapters, like the last volume, let's say the last chapter in the volume one is chapter, um, let's say it's like chapter 5 or something like that. Then the next volume will start with chapter 6.
mm-hmm.
And like this one, I've got, it's about 246 pages with afterwards, and it's got information pages on the characters and all sorts of stuff, maps of the world. And actually,
Yeah.
each part has its own sub-chapters. But it's an interesting book, and it's really dark, actually. But they'll take these books, and they'll make anime out of them, and then they'll make a manga out of it, too. Or sometimes they'll make the anime, and the anime will get popular, and they'll make a manga off the anime. So it always starts with a light novel.
Hmm.
Almost always. Sometimes manga gets adapted into a light novel, but essentially the way this works, this isn't all Japan, but it's like these fantasy novels and whatnot. Imagine if all your favorite books got a cartoon show as a form of marketing, but you only got 12 episodes that covered multiple books, and to finish the story, you had to go buy all the books.
Hmm.
But not only that, but you had to buy all the books that it covered because it changed some things, so you might be a little lost depending on what got changed. So yeah, there's that part to it. Anime is actually a very interesting thing.
Yeah, you seem well versed.
Well, let's see here. I have the anime. I have anime subscriptions to High Dive, Crunchyroll, and Funimation. And I've watched almost the entire Funimation library.
Is that a lot?
There's several hundred shows.
You're telling me you've watched almost all of them?
Many of them, yes. There's only 12 episodes for most of the shows. You can watch them like 6 hours. I've been watching them for years.
Did you watch all of One Piece so far?
I could never really get into One Piece. I don't really like shonen.
Wait, what's shonen?
Shonen is One Piece, Dragon Ball Z, Bleach, that sort of thing.
Oh, the mainstream stuff?
Most of that is shonen, yes.
Yeah, because they considered Naruto shonen too, I think.
Shonen is pretty much anything published in Shonen Jump magazine. And yeah, there are some shonen shows I like, but I don't really care a lot for the newer Dragon Ball. I don't really care for One Piece. One Piece is more I can't stand the art style than anything else.
Right.
And then another thing is, the tropes are the same. The characters are essentially all clones. Everybody's been cloning Naruto, Dragon Ball, and One Piece in all their shonen anime for years. Though Fairy Tail was kind of funny.
What's that code name or wait no.
Code
Sword
Geass?
Art Online?
Huh? Sword Art Online?
I didn't think it was that bad.
Oh no, I liked Sword Art Online actually. I think people who went after it were kind of horrible. But I do think that Gun Gal Online was better. It's a spin-off. It's Sword Art Online alternative Gun Gal Online. But but nice thing is, if you ever want to watch them, Laura, I can send you a link with because they send me stuff to let people have 2-week free trials, or if you want to watch it with ads on Crunchyroll without an account, you just have to
Yeah, I
watch it
think
with
I'm
ads.
okay.
Huh?
I think I'm okay.
No, but what I'm saying is, I can watch a lot of stuff, and like there's this one I've been enjoying where there's this one where this young girl, where this
You're
bookworm from
right, but Nick watches enough anime, so if I wanted to access it,
mm-hmm. You should watch some. You'll enjoy it.
yeah, maybe.
My friends out there, I attempt to get more people to watch anime like some people attempt to get people to join their religion.
True, true.
It's not a false statement.
I feel like I've tried to convert people to Christianity, but some people would say not enough.
Just remember, Laura, anime is happiness. Anime is life.
Oh, brother.
I might be a little crazy.
Do you need to go outside more?
No. The light, it burns.
I've been liking going outside.
I'm allergic to everything outside.
Okay, so before we get into even more of a tangent from the original content that I wanted to talk about today, so if you guys haven't heard, Florida wanted to be one of the first states to open back up. So they actually opened the Jacksonville beach on the 17th of this month. Obviously, it'll be weeks ahead of time before y'all actually hear what I just said. But, again, social distancing rules, thousands of people decide to go to the beach, and I'm like, what the fuck kind of fuckery is this?
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, the numbers, to an extent, might be going down in some areas, but that don't mean everyone can just, like, do whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah. But just remember, everyone, the whole point of lockdown was to flatten the curve, and now that the curve's been flattened, we have to start looking at opening things back up. It was never meant to stop the disease.
No, but it's definitely not meant to have thousands of people still going to a beach.
No. It doesn't mean Florida's being smart about how they're reopening stuff. But what I was trying to say is, what people don't understand was this shutdown was always meant to be temporary. It wasn't meant to be until it's been eradicated, until this and that. Because it's not going to be eradicated, it's not going to be this and that. There's no guarantee that there will ever be a vaccine. I mean,
which is depressing to think about, because I read somewhere that people have actually been getting, there was a case about someone getting COVID-19 from a recipient of COVID-19 who's dead. So it literally carried the disease from a dead person to living people. Which is scary as hell to think about.
Well, if you think about it, though, okay. This is what I feel, and I'm not trying to be the whole open everything up, just let a bunch of people die. But between the protests, the armament of the American people, the economic impact of this, I'm more frightened of the death and destruction that a potential civil unrest, civil war situation could entail than I am of the death from the virus. At this point, it's about making sure as few people as possible die. And if having people die from the virus is less people than what will happen otherwise due to the impact of all trying to prevent the virus, well, it's hard to talk around like the numbers, but in this situation, you gotta be realistic.
Yes, I agree. It's definitely taken an economic toll on us, and it'll be interesting to see how much longer this will be, as all this hearsay is like, oh well, we'll be open by May, or like, yeah, the churches like we'll only go through this for a couple more weeks, and I'm like, yeah, that's complete bullshit. But
Well, the churches think this is God's punishment.
yeah.
Except, do you think it might just be punishment for us all being dicks? You know?
Well, I was thinking this is an act of war from China at first, but I don't think so.
Yeah, actually, I do, but I think this whole thing was created by China to try to get everyone off the whole Hong Kong situation.
Yeah.
I think they let it out on purpose.
See, I don't know if it's hearsay that people are being shot who have COVID-19 in North Korea. That don't sound correct, but who knows?
It's North Korea. That sounds about right to me.
Oh my god.
This is North Korea we're talking about.
I mean, yeah, but is there like actual evidence? Or if there is evidence, it's probably hidden.
Probably hidden, but would it surprise you?
I still feel like, to a degree, people would still get it. Like, they can't kill every single person that has it. It spreads too fast.
No, but people they're killing people in China, and they're using the virus as a way to point a finger at what killed them, even though they never had the virus.
Yeah. And, Michigan, I think we're at like 30K people who have it right now.
Yeah, for a state in way more lockdown than Indiana, you don't seem to be having much of an impact on stopping new cases.
No. Well, I feel like our lockdown's been chill. Like, a bit too chill, honestly.
You can't go out and buy gardening supplies, but you can buy an Olaf from frozen stuffed animal.
As someone who has to restock the seeds, it just depends on where you go for gardening supplies.
Well, apparently Whitmer said that gardening supplies are non-essential.
Well, I've still been restocking seeds, so maybe it depends on the store. I don't know.
Or maybe it was that you couldn't go buy gardening supplies at the
At big chain places, you can't. Now that I remember, like you can't get it at like a Lowe's or something. But I've been restocking at like these smaller places. Like I don't know if you guys have heard of Flowerland, Family Farm and Home, shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
They are still very much up and running. They sell flower seeds, food seeds, but they also sell like tractor supplies and
Well,
crap
like I
like
said
that.
like I said the other day when we recorded the last two episodes, though, they don't want you buying seeds because
Not,
then you're
I
dependent on the
mean,
system.
well, yeah, but I mean, they still allow these small businesses to like sell their shit to a degree,
To a degree.
but they're not allowing the big box places to. Like, I'm pretty sure Meyer, their home and garden shut down, from what I could tell.
Mm-hmm. Well, here's the thing, Laura. At the beginning, we all know this was entertaining as hell. Now it's becoming a pest.
It's been a pest. Like, people are in civil unrest, and we literally have been fighting this for like a month and a week.
Uh, At this point, I tell you, society, I told you so.
Like, if it was dead of winter, I probably wouldn't give a shit that this is happening. But the weather's starting to get nice, and even though, like the average American, when we work, we don't have much of a social life. But on the days that we don't work, we want to do some fun things to make us forget about the shitty week that we went through, whether that be going out to eat, hanging out with friends, or going to the movies. But now we can't do any of that shit. So we're all
Like,
just lazy
yeah,
pieces of
but
shit.
like, look at me. All the non-essential retails essentially shut itself down, right?
Yeah.
Even here in Indiana. I like my models. I just got my government stimulus check. I would love to go buy a model to build on a weekend to get my mind off everything, but I can't.
Right. Like all of the stuff that I got on Amazon, I'm not gonna be getting it for like 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I got a sushi maker that I'm not gonna get until like the second week of May.
Mm. You had to get a sushi maker.
It's like a faster way to make sushi. Basically, it's like it kind of looks like one of those pipes that you use like in your drains and shit, but it's a tube, and then you put all your toppings and your rice and shit, and then you secure it, and then by the time it makes perfect sushi, and then you can put the seaweed on the outside, and it's easy to roll.
That is not sushi. That is sushimi.
What are you talking about?
Okay, sushi is the raw fish on top of rice. Those rice rolls with the vegetables and stuff in it is called sushimi. Sushimi.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's right in my Japanese book.
Well, I'm
There's a
definitely
difference.
excited to make sushimi then. I've never made it myself before. Well, I mean, I've like played around with it before, but I've never like made it in my own kitchen or anything.
And most people, they use a little roller thing that's made out of bamboo.
Yeah.
And I've seen that before. But yeah, I just kind of wish all this stuff would hurry up and be over with. I have life to get back to.
Yeah, like this setback is definitely taking a toll on a lot of people.
Hey, with the way my work is right now, I might work all next week. I might work 2 days next week. I might work one day. Our main contract is changing their orders by the day, if not by the hour. So we are turning on and shutting off machines the same day. Because an order got placed and then it got canceled. Yeah. So we don't know what the work schedule is right now. They're just changing everything by the day. And it's kind of becoming pain in the ass.
So then what? They just send you home, or how's that go?
Well, luckily, I'm supposed to be the warehouse guy, so a lot of the time I still have to work even if there's a partial reduction in work. But that's not always the case. And what happens is, if the machine goes down or breaks, like, I was supposed to work Thursday. I got to work for a whole 3 hours, and then my machine broke while I was on break. So when I came back from break, I got sent home. Now, mind you, it is a 20-minute drive to work and a 20-minute drive back minimum if I'm speeding.
What, there's nothing in your area?
Nothing in my area that pays $15.28 an hour. Everything closer only pays 9 or 10, or it's shut down.
That's fair. I had to drive 66 miles total today to do one 15-minute job.
Yeah.
$15 job, I meant to say. They said that they're going to pay me gas, but I haven't heard from them, so I think I'm just going to be stuck pitching to them until they do.
Good luck.
Yeah, it was in, like, the middle of buttfuck nowhere. Like, I don't know if you guys have heard of Newaygo. I didn't even know that was a place in Michigan. Like, I literally had one of my other friends, like, I said, hey, you know, Nuego's got nothing in it. And she was like, what the fuck is a Nuego? And I'm like, it's a place. Like, she probably thought it was like a fucking grocery store or something.
I don't know.
And it's funny because, like, people like her who are so uneducated and ignorant, not to say that, like, um, that's a bad thing. Like, if you're uneducated and ignorant, it's because people aren't teaching you shit about who you're around. Well, basically, I was telling her, hey, I've been doing a lot of traveling lately, making some money. And then she was like, you could get pulled over and ticketed and blah, blah. And I was like, I'm an essential worker, right? Like, chips put in a grocery store, like vendors, people who straighten shit, like that's very much essential work.
And also,
Um,
to not to mention the fact that in places like Indiana and Michigan, the cops are not pulling people over to check their papers, whether or not the governor or government tried to tell them to. They're kind of refusing to.
wait, they are?
Several northern Michigan sheriffs are refusing to enforce Governor Whitmer's stay-at-home order due to the draconian nature of it.
Aren't like California and shit like actually pulling people over though?
Yeah, but that's California. And also the
Well,
fact,
yeah, but they had people in Greenville get $500 fines for going to the drive-through mass.
which was a blatant violation of their constitutional rights.
And then what about the people that got $500 fines for being on the water fishing?
I don't know how that if that would violate anything, but that's kind of stupid because I'd rather. Because here's the thing, where are you more likely to catch this thing? Out in the open air on a boat by yourself fishing, or locked up in a tight quarters house with your family?
I mean, if anything, someone like me probably has a higher chance of getting it than any other person. But yet, they don't say anything because they're like, well, you're an essential worker. Like, there ain't enough people doing this shit, so that's why we need third party to do it. Because there literally is not enough workers working.
Or maybe they paid people a livable wage, they'd have enough workers, huh?
Yeah. I mean, they put a lot of people out of work, and like everyone's like, well, people are bitching that we're getting paid too much money to be on unemployment, but I haven't gotten my money yet, and I'm like, well, you'll get your money, but we're not saying it's going to be a fast process.
No, and I'm not bitching that people are making too much money on unemployment. I'm bitching that they got laid off and I didn't.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, working's all about making the most money you can.
See, and I get that, but I just know that this extra $600 a week is going to fuck over a lot of people in the end.
How?
People don't just magically get this money and like everything's all well and good. Like the money had to come from somewhere.
Oh yeah, it had to come from somewhere, and it came from government debt. But here's the thing: who cares what happens with the government debt? Because people talk about taxes and government debt and all this stuff and how you're this blah 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 blah. If you sit back, invest your money wisely, save your money, live within your means, then the government can be completely broke and you can be completely fine.
I mean, I get that, but I feel like this money is not going to be like we're all going to go off scot-free. I feel like we're going to have to pay it back somehow to them. If that means like, oh, well, we don't get like our
Oh, it'll be
refunds
taxed.
back or we pay higher taxes.
You'll have to pay higher tax because you'll get bumped into a tax bracket with the extra money. But here's the thing: if I was on unemployment, I take home my what I would get on the unemployment take home after all the taxes would be roughly $2,700 a month. Right now, after I pay everything, my insurance, everything through work, I bring home about $1,800 a month. So I'll get one and a half. So it's as if every hour I've worked was overtime. Okay, so with that, that means I would have an extra $900 every month for the next like 4 months if I was laid off that long and I got the unemployment benefit for that long. Then with that extra money, I'd have my debts taken care of pretty damn quick, and I would still have enough money to make my usual payments personally.
Right.
Plus, unemployment. If you're self-employed, you're not considered employed. At least up in Michigan. In Michigan, you can collect unemployment because you just lost your job and still be self-employed. My dad did that when he lost his job in the automotive industry in 2006. And that's how he got his business going. But it does look like we're getting to the end of the episode time.
Well, that went good. I mean, we only did a decent amount of meandering off topic.
Yeah, we always do. Anyways, we'll see you guys next time and have a good one.
Bye!